writers, happy Monday. Jade Trueblood here, and I'm joined again by Ted Capshaw. Hey, Ted.
Hey, hey.
So I think that there is something that we're all chasing constantly. And to me, I don't like the idea of chasing something. And I don't believe that this is actually a destinational thing. That is the idea of balance. Okay, so one of my personal beliefs is that it's never something that you can actually acquire. It's not the state that you're finally in, and then you're like, I've arrived, right? When people come to you and say, you know, my work-life balance is off balance, or I need more balance in my work life, what is your advice? How do you direct them? What do you normally say to them?
It's just a bunch of questions. I mean, I feel like this is the third week in a row we're talking about asking questions, but I mean, we talked about it last year, the devil's in the details. Well, what do you mean you're out of balance? Like, help me understand. And a lot of times they'll go right to time. Like, I'm working 10-hour days. I don't have enough time for doing this. It's all time. And I'm like, well, let's back that out, right? At what points of the day do you feel best? Right? And then it turns into, well, time with my family, but you have to be very specific. I'm asking for very specific times that you feel best, right? And that conversation could transform. I'm thinking about myself. I could say time with family. I mean, that doesn't mean anything. 15 minutes out front with my two boys and my wife shooting hoops, which, you know, is just a crazy debacle of fun. I feel wonderful. I want to get people very specific, because this idea of balance has everything to do with how we feel, right? Yeah. And then we can start talking about time. And so when people come to me and they start saying, like, I feel out of balance or whatever, I'm going to go all the way back to some things that we talked about last year, Jade, which is the whole purpose and the idea of vision and goal setting. This is what comes into play right now, because one of my initial questions for somebody that comes to me and says they're finding out of balance, what are you trying to accomplish in today, like in today's time, like right now, like in the next 6 months? Well, I need to do X. Well, is how you're allocating your time, you know, in line with you trying to get that outcome? It is. Well, maybe you're not out of balance. You could be frustrated, tired, et cetera, because I guess, like, sometimes, Jade, to be transparent, I struggle with this idea. What you said in the beginning is what I believe, which is there's no destination. There's a lot of media around finding balance, and I think people go directly to time. And I think people think, I'm going to allocate seven hours to work, and I'm going to work one less hour, and I'm going to dedicate that to X, Y, and Z in my personal life. And I don't think that's necessarily the answer, because if you're clear on your goals and your vision, there are times that you're going to feel like you're out of harmony. Like, if you have, I might even mention this on this before, because this is real. Like in my world, right? Like, if I have a certain financial goal or a dream that I want to come true for my family, then I may be out of balance because I'm traveling a little bit more, right? Which equals money for me. And so I don't know if I'm making any sense here, but
you are. But I wonder if the feeling isn't, and people have got it confused. I'm telling everybody they're confused, but no, just something to think about is that you don't have control. So it's out of your control, right? Because I think about like what we create for writers, which is portrayed as freedom. And maybe some people think initially they're coming onto work, like you say, less hours in the day. But that doesn't always the thing that happens, right? You might be working, especially in the beginning, more hours a day. But I think that it's control of it, right? You have control of your time. It's a chosen profession. It's a chosen life change. So I wonder if that isn't more of a
huge point.
Right.
I think we forget that we control our time.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
You know how many times I remind clients, you know, I'm a coach, so, well, that was your choice. I mean, now, well, yeah, but I need to make X amount of money. Okay, but again, that's a choice. So if you're going to make that choice, know that. But I mean, I just think you brought up just a powerful point right there. Like, we have to remind ourselves, we got in there, this entrepreneurial world, this writing career, to create choice for ourselves, and remind ourselves that we are the ones making this choice on how we spend our time, whether we live in balance or not. And you know, that sort of thing.
And I also think just the awareness that you're not always going to be on it. You know what I mean? Like, you should not be expecting of yourself to be full force all day, every day. There's going to be days when you just don't feel like it. You know, it's like the working is just not working.
Life is hard.
Right. And then there's other days when you're just nailing it. And I think leaning into those differences is also balance, right? Knowing when you had the capabilities to just drum out a full sales letter, and when, okay, today is the day that I just got to try and work on an email subject now because I don't got much in me. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's
I think there's, you know, giving yourself permission. I mean, like I said it under my breath there, life is hard.
Yeah.
You know, this idea that we're always going to be in consummate balance, right? Like, it's just unrealistic. So we talk about setting realistic expectations, and balance is one of those things that you said in the beginning. We're always going to be chasing it, but you got to recognize, like, if you feel out of balance, is it purposeful? Like I always, you know, that's something that I always talk to clients about. Like, look, if you're out of balance, but it's because of X, and this is what you're going to get out of it in the next 3 months, then deal with it. Like, if you're feeling a little unwound, but you are moving the change towards this ultimate goal or outcome, okay, that's part of this life journey. That's part of being an entrepreneur. It just is, right? Now, if you feel completely out of whack, then I think we need to examine some of the things that you talked about, which is you got into this to make choices, and you're not making wise ones. You know, you're not making ones that are in line with who you want to be and how you want to feel. And that's just a choice point.
Yeah. So again, we've said this so many times, going inwards is sometimes all the answers are right there, right? If you're not feeling something and you're feeling a certain kind of way in a bad way, it's just time to go and dive into what that is. And there's something like a wave I'm just riding, like you said, to get to the particular something, and then it'll pass? Or is this just a constant how I'm feeling and I need to course correct and adjust it and have a green juice because I'm feeling sick?
And be truthful with yourself, because sometimes we're very hypocritical and we're contradicting. And the one that just popped in my head is, like, you know, I talk about my boys all the time, and how many times have I said, like, I don't have enough time with them, they're in school all day and And you know what I do, Jade, and this is true. Immediately I try to reflect on how many times I told them no in the past week or two. And unfortunately, I can come up with 2 to 5 times immediately. And I was cooking dinner or I was doing something, and I'll use the example of shooting hoops. I mean, Jackson came in and said, "Dad, can we throw the ball?" And I said, "Hey, bud, I'm cooking right now." Well, earlier this morning, I said I didn't have enough time with my son. So we got to be honest with ourselves when we talk about this choice and the balance and all the rest of that. And that's what I'd like to leave people with today, which is, if you are saying you're out of balance, I want you to do some gut checks here. Like, what choices are you making? What language are you feeding yourself? And are you being honest with yourself? Because the fact of the matter is, as cliche as it may sound, this is yours to create. This business, this life, etc. Go do it.
And I'll add to that, Sid, what is around you that is consuming you, that you are consuming, could it possibly potentially be making you feel that not great way?
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
Okay, cool. So next week we're going to try and, like, the 80-20 rule, when the input is minimal and the output is maximum. Any advice that we can impart on that, and we will see everybody then. Thank you, Ted.
Yeah.